So as of now, we have discussed this exception handling. Inside exception handling, we have seen this throwable, error exception, runtime exception, and IO exception. Now another one we'll see each of them, right? So what is this throwable? Okay. So throwable is one class. Throwable is one root class of all the hierarchy. Okay. For which hierarchy? If you've seen this throwable contain this error, this exception, this runtime exception, and this IO exception. So all came under this throwable. So Java, if Java got any exception, any error, they will throw that error. They will throw that exception. So this is your throwable. If any error or exception appears in our program, then Java will throw that error. Alright, now what is error? So when we'll run any program in Java, first what is the first process? JVM, first they will compile that program, and after compilation they will run that program. So this is the process. So JVM will do all that thing, like so if while running that program, if we got any error, like if there is any memory leak, or if any array out of bound exception, or any infinite loop came to that program, so that is what, that is your error. All right, so error is such a condition like memory leak, or if you'll get running out of memory, if your memory is full, or if any index out of bound. So if these are the errors, so if you will get these type of error in your program, so this is the example of the error. If you have if your memory is full, you'll get this error. If there is a memory leak means for same object. So in Java we can reuse that same thing, right? If we have any class, inside that class if we have different methods for same class, we are creating here different objects. So if we have that possibility, like we can use that same thing, but we are for different thing we are creating multiple objects. So that place we have that memory leak. Okay, and we have already discussed this index out of bound. So when we have like when we are using array or in list, we also get that same that index out of bound exception if we have that type of thing. Okay, so this is the error. So errors are usually beyond the control of the programmer, right? Why errors are usually beyond the control of the program? Because so we have written this program, right? So I have declared here int a b equal to some value, right? So inside integer we are trying to store string value, right? So this is what, this is error. So I am writing this program, so I got this error here, right? Before running this program I got this error, type mismatch cannot convert from string to int. So I am getting this error before running this program, so I can change this value, right? now I have changed this string to integer one. Now that error gone here, right? It means if you have any error in your program, so you have that control. You can control that error. You can fix that error, right? So that's why errors are usually beyond the control of the programmer. That programmer, like I am writing that program, so I can control that error. I can fix that errors that same time. Okay. Now we have exception. Okay. So when we'll get exception? So we have seen array index out. Wait. Before exception, inside exception we have two types. One is IO exception. Another one is runtime exception. Okay. Let me add one more point for this error one. We can't handle error in our program, right? So if we are writing any program, inside program, if we have any error before running that program, we can handle it. But if we have any error in our program and we have compiled our Java class, after compiling, like when we'll after running that program, we won't be able to handle that error. Got it? But when we'll go for exception, in exception, if we have any error, right? If you got any exception, we can handle those exception in our program. So this is the main difference between error and exception. We can't handle error in our program after running our Java program. But if we got any exception in our program, so we can handle those exception instead of returning that whole error message like array index out of bound exception at line number this line, right? Instead of returning that exception message, you can return your own customized message as well. All right. What is that? Yeah. So now we'll go for this exceptions. So exceptions can be handled by the program. Okay. Let me add one more point. So when an exception occurs within any method or anywhere, right? So it create an object. Like if we have any class and inside that class we have different methods, right? If we want to access any method, what we'll do, we'll create object of that class. If we have non-static method, right? So we'll create object of that class and we can access those methods, right? The same way, if we are getting any exception in Java, right? When we got that exception, they will create one object. So it create an object. Object of which class? That object is called the exception object. Oh, it's not changing. All right. So when we got any exception in Java, they will create one object of this exception class. So in Java, we have one exception class. If we are getting any exception in Java, every time they will create object of this class. Got it? So this is our exception. Now, if we got any exception in Java, how to handle those exceptions, right? So we have two type. One is our runtime exception. Okay. Another one is IO exception. So they have categorized, like in Java, they have categorized different exception in two categories: runtime, IO exception. Now we'll see what is this runtime. Okay. So a runtime exceptions happens due to programmer error. Okay, like if they have declared any variable, inside that variable they have initialized that variable with a different value, like they have declared integer data type and they have stored some string value or some boolean value into that, right? So this is our runtime exception. So at runtime exceptions happens due to the programmer error. Okay, this runtime exception also called as a unchecked exception. Unchecked exception. So this unchecked exception came under runtime exception. Got it? Second one. So now I will give you example for our runtime exception. Illegal argument exception. So if we are getting illegal argument exception, it means it came under runtime exception. Okay, we have null pointer exception. Now what is this null pointer exception? Let me show you. Let me comment this one. Oh, we got this array index out of bound. Okay, let me create one array list object. List equal to right list dot get 0. If you see here, I have created this list of integer list equal to null. Null means this list didn't have any value, right? It is null here. But here we are trying to get list dot get 0. 0 means first index value, but there is no value inside this list. At that time we got this null pointer exception. Why this null pointer exception? Because our list contain 0 item, and here we are trying to extract the first one, 0th element from this list. So if that list is null, it means they didn't have any value. At that time we got this null pointer exception. Okay, so this null pointer exception also came under runtime exception. Okay, so this null pointer exception came under this runtime exception. All right. and we have seen this array index out of bound already. Array index out of bound exception. Okay, now we have one arithmetic exception. What is this arithmetic exception, and when we'll got this arithmetic exception? So if we'll divide any number with 0, so 7 by 0, we should divide any number with 0. At that time we got this arithmetic exception because it is not possible. So that time they will throw this arithmetic exception. Alright, so arithmetic exception came under that same runtime exception. Okay, so arithmetic exception. Alright, we have seen null pointer, illegal argument, array index out of bound, arithmetic exception as well, right? So these are the example for your runtime exception. Okay, now we'll go for this IO exception. So if you got this exception, this one, this one, this one, and this one, it means this one is runtime exception. Now we'll go for this IO exception. So if you see, this runtime exception is also called as a unchecked exception, right? Now this IO exception is checked exception, just opposite to this runtime exception. So let me add note for this IO exception checked by the compiler. All right, checked by the compiler at the compile time. So when we are writing any program and when we have run that program, so there are two processes. First they will compile that program, after that they will run that program, right? So at the time of compilation, if we are getting any exception, it means that exception is came under IO exception. Okay, so IO exception checked by the compiler at the compile time. It is also known as a checked exception. Checked exception. Okay, change their color. Okay, so what is the example for this one? E.z file not found exception. So what is this file not found exception? We haven't discussed this file part, so we'll discuss it later. So if we have any file, for example, we have this Java training content folder, right? Inside this Java training content folder, we have this PNG file, right? 1.png, 2.png, 3.png up to 34.png, and we have collections.zip. So if we are trying to get this image, so this one is .png image, right? So if we are trying to get this image in our Java code, right, and we have only 34 images in this file, up to 34.png, right? 35.png is not stored in this folder. So if we are trying to get that 35.png file and that file is not present in that folder, right? If that file is not present in that folder, at that time they will throw file not found exception. Why this file not found exception? Because that file is not available in that location. Alright, inside Java we have this file class. This file class came under java.io package. Got it? So file equal to new file. Alright, let me copy this path, copy, and let me paste that path here. Okay, we have to copy any file name, copy as path. See, I have added this 34.png here, right? Yeah, so I have added path for this 34.png. Okay, now let me drag this. Yeah, now I'm adding one sysout statement, file dot get name. Okay, if we'll run this program, wait, let me comment this one. Either it will not come to this line number 25 and 26 because line number 22 we got that exception. Let me rerun this program. If you see here, I have created object of this file class. Inside this file class, I have added path. Which path? Path of this file 34.png. So if we have to get any file, like in Java code, if you are trying to get any file name or whole file, so we will use this file class. So this is predefined class in Java. So if you want to access any file, not only this image, so this 34.png is one image. If you want to access any PDF file, any word file, Excel file, you can access those files with the help of this file object, right? So just I have created file equal to new file, and inside this constructor I have passed one argument. Which argument? Path of this file, right? If you see here, I have printed this file dot get name. So inside this file class, they have one get name method. This get name method will do what? They will return the name of that file. If you see, they have printed 34.png here. What is the file name? 34.png. That same one. Alright. So what if we didn't have 35.png here, right? Now let me change that file name with 35.png. Now let me run this program. Oh wait, 35.png is not there, no? Why they have printed it? Let me copy this one. Save. Let me remove this. So we have this path C user. This is correct, right? Yes. File. What is returning this one? File not found exception. File file we have it with file dot this one. Wait. We have one more class, file reader. Okay, file reader are equal to new file reader. Okay, now I will paste this out. File dot let me run this program. See, we got here file not found exception. Why this file not found exception? So we have added this where is that? So we have added this path here, right? So earlier we have added 34.png, right? Later we have added 35.png, but that 35.png file is not present in this Java training content folder. So that file is not there. So that's why we got this this one file not found exception, because that file is not present in that folder, right? So this is the example for your file not found exception. So if that file is not available in that folder, whatever path we have mentioned here to this path, so if that file is not present in that folder, Java will throw this file not found exception. Okay, so instead of getting these error, now we will handle those error. So instead of returning these multiple lines of error message, what will return? Will return simple file not found, right? Now I will show you how to handle those exceptions in Java. Okay, so let me drag this one. Let me create one class. So where is that here? New class x2 example 2. Okay, so to handle exception in Java, there are two things, 2-3 point is there. One is try, another one is catch, then we have finally block, and we have throw and throws keyword. Let me add 1 point for that. Not here. Let me save this one. I will create a new empty file. Now I am saving that 35. Okay. Yeah, I will create one more file here. So we have seen exception and their type: runtime exception, IO exception, right? Now we'll see exception handling. How to handle any exception in Java. If your program returning any exception, so how to handle that exception? Now we'll see that one. Got it? So to handle exception in Java, we have to know what is, like, with the help of try and catch. With the help of try and catch block, we can handle any exception in Java. Right? We have one more block, that is finally block. Okay, then we have throw and throws keyword. Okay, so first we'll see how to handle exception with the help of try and catch, then we'll go for finally, and then we'll go for throw and throws keyword. Okay, so this try catch is simple if you are trying to handle any exception in Java, right? So let me write some program here. Let me copy that one, right? Where is that program? Here. I am copying this one. (1967, 15, 16). Okay, we have total 4 value. I less than 5. Okay, if we will run this program, we got exception at line number, like, 5th time we got this array index bound exception, right? So we have seen that try catch. So we have just discussed with the help of try and catch block we can handle any exception. Now how to use this try catch? So try is one keyword in Java, right? So if you want to use this try catch, so try is one total block, and where that try block ending, so at that same place we have to start catch, right? And in catch block we have to mention one argument. Which argument? Whatever exception you are getting. If you want to handle this array index out of bound exception, right? So you have to pass array index out of bound exception here, exception ex, right? So if in your program you got this array index out of bound exception, right, that time we will print one message here: array index is incorrect. Okay, now we have to write our whole program inside try block. Okay, we have two blocks, one is try, another one is catch, right? So whatever your logic, all logic will be there in try block, right? This is your try block, right? So if you all, like, whatever logic you have added in your program, all logic you have to be moved in that try block, and in catch block we will handle those exceptions. So in this program, in this array program, we are getting array index out of bound exception, right? So now we have to handle that exception. Instead of returning these lines of error, exception in thread main java.lang dash 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 dash, instead of returning these error, what we will return? We'll simply return array index is incorrect, right? Let me run this program. If you see here, instead of returning that multiple lines of error, here we got array index is incorrect. Whatever error message we have added over there, we have added this line, right? Array index is incorrect, right? So that way you can handle any exception in Java. So this is the example for this array index out of bound exception. Earlier we got null pointer exception as well, right? Let me create any doubt in this one, this exception handling. Again I am repeating, if we are getting any exception in Java, right, so Java will throw that exception. So if we'll not handle that exception, user won't be able to understand, right? If like if we'll, let me control z. See, we have this one, right? If we'll run this program, we got this exception in thread main, right? So if any new user came here, right, they don't know what is this exception in thread main and in anything. So if we'll show this error message to any new person, they won't be able to understand, right? What is this? What is this? Your array index out of bound exception. I don't know what is this, right? So if we'll show some proper error message to that user, okay? So in this code, we are getting some error regarding what? Regarding array index, right? So if we'll show that error message like, okay, array index is incorrect, okay, if we'll show this error message to that user, so that time they will understand, okay, in array index we have some issue that is incorrect, right? So instead of returning these error message, we can return only this line, array index is incorrect, right? Oh, I have to again write the code. So how to first approach is try catch. We have discussed first approach, try catch block. With the help of try catch block, we can handle any exception, right? So try is one keyword, and after that we have to start their block, and wherever the try block ended, we have to start this catch, and inside this catch block we have to pass one argument. Which argument? Whatever exception you are getting, you have to write their type, right? So we are getting here array index out of bound exception, so we have to write their class name here, and after that whatever error message you want to add, so I want to add array index is incorrect, okay. Now we have to add our code to try block. So whatever logic we have in our code, that will be in try block. Try block will add our whole code, and in catch block we will add the error message whatever we want to return, right? Now if I'll run this code, see, last we got this array index is incorrect. Got it? So this is for the array index out of bound exception. Now let me show you one more example for null pointer exception. So this is for this one. Now for null pointer exception, okay. So I am creating one list of integer equal to null. There is no value inside this list. All right. Now in sysout I am trying to get list dot get 0. All right. If I'll run this program, we got exception here. Wait, let me comment this one so it will not. So yeah, now we have to check only for the null pointer, right? Yeah, so we got here java.lang null pointer exception, right? So instead of returning this null pointer exception, what we will do, we will add our try block. Inside try block we will add our code, okay, and we'll add catch block as well. Inside catch block we'll have to add null pointer exception class. Whatever exception you are getting, you have to add that class here. Now in sysout statement we'll add like array list is empty. All right, now if I'll run this program, we got this error message, array list is empty. Simple. So instead of returning that error message to user, you can use this try catch block to handle that exception. All right, now what if you don't know which type of exception you will get in your program, right? Like this one is the array program, this one is your array program. So you know, like after running this program, you realize that okay, we will get this array index out of bound exception in this place. After running this program, it appears like you will get null pointer exception in this line. But what if you don't know which type of exception you will get in your program, right? So if you don't know which class they will throw that exception, how to handle those exceptions, right? So for each exception class we have their parent. So in Java we have one exception class, this one, exception. So this exception class is the parent of all exception class. For this array index out of bound exception as well, for this null pointer exception as well, all exception class. So this class is the parent of all exception class. So instead of writing this array index out of bound, if you write this exception now, it will work. Let me comment the last one. If I'll run this program, you got this error message, array index is incorrect. Okay, let me show you the next one. See, we got array list is empty. If you sorry, we haven't changed this one, right? Yeah. Let me rerun again. Yeah, we got the same error message. So instead of writing that particular exception class name, if you'll write this exception, it means they will throw this error message whatever you have written here. So this is the parent class of that array index out of bound or null pointer or whatever we have. Wait. We have written that example, right? Yeah, this one. So we have this in legal argument exception, we have null pointer, we have array index out of bound, we have arithmetic exception, file not found exception, right? Instead of writing these class name to that catch block, if we'll write simple exception class name, this one, this exception one, right? They will throw that error because this exception class is the parent class of all exception class. Got it? So with the help of this try and catch block, you can handle any type of exception in Java. Instead of returning that multiple lines of error, you can return simple your error message, whatever you want to return. If user want any different error message, just change this error message, that's it, right? So any doubt in this exception handling with the help of try and catch block, how to handle exception in Java with the help of try and catch block, if you have any doubt, please ask. Okay, I will take it as no. So now we'll go for this finally block. So we have 2 points, this the finally block and throws keyword. So we'll discuss this one tomorrow. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for joining. I will share the